What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and I have another one of my own requested top 10 list videos to share for you guys today. And this time I'll be going over my top 10 favorite comedy films of all time. Now, before I begin, I would just like to thank the viewer out there that actually requested this particular top 10 list video, because without that request, this video would not have happened. So, starting off really simple with my number 10, I picked Galaxy Quest. Now, I initially had to pick between Galaxy Quest and Spaceballs, but the reason I picked Galaxy Quest is that it's one thing for a comedy film to just constantly top the last joke that they've told, and that's usually what most comedies do. They just simply try to top the last joke, and how are we going to top this, and how are we going to top this, and how are we going to top this. But what Galaxy Quest did was it actually had a sense of heart. It has a good enough balance of comedy throughout the whole film. There's a good number of jokes that kind of make fun of the idea of actual Star Trek-like characters having to actually take in their actual roles in the real world. It had a good amount of action scenes, which, you know, I find even entertaining to this day, and there's a good message and a good sense of heart. And I really think that for me personally as an audience member, it's one thing to have me leave the theater and just, you know, talk about all the stuff that made me laugh, but it's also another thing for a movie to have me walk out with a message. And I think that's something Galaxy Quest did rather well, and that's why it's number 10 on this list. Number 9 on my list I picked is Scary Movies 1 and 2. I honestly can't really pick which one I like better. Both of them have a balance of getting the right jokes at the right time. They both have unique settings. They bring back a majority of the same cast, I mean the main leads, and I just thought that the individual pop culture references that they were using for both those films were just perfect for the particular time that they were released. They don't really repeat any jokes, and I think that is a really cool thing. I mean, it's not like these stupid spoof movies that we get these days that simply just reference the most popular things that are going on at the time. And although some people might say that Scary Movies 1 and 2 did that too, I think they did that a lot smoother, and that's why even to this day they are still considered really funny to me. Going on into number 8, I picked Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery. You know, you gotta add Austin Powers. I think, in my opinion, I think that's like Mike Myers' like best series of films. I would put him even above something like Shrek, and it's just the concept. The concept, a guy from, if I remember correctly, from the 60s who believes in all this free love and peace and all this kind of stuff, being brought to the 90s and having to adjust. I mean, I don't mean to sound a little bit weird, but it kind of has like a little bit of a Captain America mixed in with it, with a bit of James Bond. And you know, the movie knows what it's trying to be, and it sometimes chooses to acknowledge it. Like, who can't forget those scenes where, like, what was that one scene where he's naked in the background and the female lead is like moving things around just to cover up his privates. I mean, that you don't really see that in movies today, and I think that's just perfectly timed. And I think that that movie too has a good message, even though I don't really think Austin Powers learns much over the next 2 films. But I think, in my opinion, out of all the 3 Austin Powers films, that one was the best. Going on to number 7, I picked Dodgeball, a true underdog story. This movie is just great. It's, you know, I would consider it probably the best sports comedy film, because, you know, it talks about the story of Vince Vaughn's character just trying to save his gym. And he has to play dodgeball and enter a dodgeball tournament in order to win some money. And I think that it was also one of Ben Stiller's funniest characters. Just, oh wow, just too many scenes that it's just like, wow, I can't believe he did that. You know, it's another movie that also has heart, and, you know, talking about standing up for your friends, not selling out, and a couple of instances growing up. And it's just an overall good comedy film. It's really something that you could watch with a group of friends sober and really enjoy. And that's why it's on this list. Going on to number 6 is the funniest film that I saw last year, and that is This Is the End. I have not seen a film like this in some time, and we need to get more of them. I mean, just the idea of these real actors being stuck at James Franco's house and having to survive the apocalypse, and them going through all these crazy antics and having all these crazy activities, getting high, doing drugs, having Emma Watson come in and rob them. Just the comedy in that movie was off the charts, and there was one particular quote that after I left the theaters watching this, I couldn't stop saying for a week. I'm not going to say it here, but I'm sure if you guys enjoyed that movie as much as I do, I think you know exactly what quote I'm talking about. And that's why it's on this list as number 6. Going on to number 5, I picked Shaun of the Dead. I think that out of the, I can't think of the director's name, but I think out of all the trilogies of those films between Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and To the End of the World, I think that Shaun of the Dead was the best because it is kind of a direct reference to Dawn of the Dead, but it's kind of given like not exactly a parody twist on it, but it's kind of taking it in a funny sense. Like, you know, this is how people who shouldn't be able to survive a zombie apocalypse are able to survive one. And I think that that was, in my opinion, I think that was the movie that I first saw Sean Penn in. And he was just funny from that point on. From that point on, I was just on board. I was a big fan of his from that point on. And that's why it's number 5 on this list. Going on to number 4, I picked a classic film, and that is Ghostbusters. I think that many would agree that Ghostbusters was probably one of the best comedy films of the 80s, and I think it still holds up to today. I'm not really on board with the idea of them making a third one. I don't think it's necessary, but I just think that for its time, it really did. It was just a great concept. I mean, you have a group of scientists that like to hunt ghosts, and they have fun doing it. And, you know, you got to add a good number of action scenes, and there's a good number of heart, and I wouldn't say much character development, but acknowledging that these guys really work best as a team, and to lose any one of them really just kind of detracts from that. And I think Ghostbusters was able to project that quite well. Going on to number 3, you have to go for Jim Carrey film, and my favorite Jim Carrey film of all time is Liar Liar. Jim Carrey to me is only one of 2 comedic actors that can actually do something that I'm not ashamed of, which, you know, maybe I'll talk about it in another video. But he's just probably one of the funniest comedians I've ever seen. I mean, for God's sake, he was the Riddler in Batman Forever, and heck, that is like one half of the reason the color green is my favorite color. And he was the Riddler, and I thought he was pretty entertaining in that. But Liar Liar really did. It was really Jim Carrey at his prime, and I think the concept of him being a lawyer and not being able to lie, and him having to find manipulative ways to get out of these situations, because, you know, that's really what lawyers are good at. That's what they have to do. They have to lie. And him having to reconnect with his kid, who is divorced from his wife. I think it's another one of those movies that it knows what it's trying to be. It has a great sense of comedy. You get to see Jim Carrey get himself out of a lot of crazy environments, and it has a good message and a good sense of heart. And that's why it's number 3 on this list. Number 2 on my list is Anchorman. The first one, not the second one. Ron Burgundy is probably one of the funniest comedy characters I've ever seen. I mean, he's the head of the Channel 4 news crew, and shit. San Diego, that's right. Why did I forget that I'm living in California? And I just thought the entire film was just funny nonstop. I think one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in a film was probably the battle royale that they had between all the different news crews. I mean, they did something similar to that in the second one. However, I thought that was just forced, and they kind of took it to a whole nother extreme. Like, it was. If you've seen the second one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I think that, you know, again, it's another one of those comedy films that has a message. And I think it's, you know, sex equality. That's really the main message that the movie projects. And that's definitely a message I absolutely respect, because I believe in equality between the sexes. And that leads me to number 1. My favorite comedy film of all time is unquestionably, and it has been this for a very long time, South Park. Bigger, longer, and uncut. There is no question that South Park is probably one of the best entertainment things I've ever seen. It works good as a television show, it looks amazingly good as a video game, and it works even better as a movie. This movie really did show you what South Park is really capable of. They just went all out, balls to the wall. We're going to take this as far as we can, and we really got to see what South Park was really capable of. We need a second one of these films, and I damn sure better hope that they make a second one of these games. I mean, what more can we talk about? I mean, what's not to say? If you are a South Park fan, this is a must. This is a must watch, because it, you know what, I'm done talking about it. It is that damn good. If you haven't seen it already, What the hell is your problem? It's the funniest film on my list. It's the funniest film I've ever seen, and it may stay that for a very, very long time. Now with that, those are my top 10 favorite comedy films of all time. And I really would like to know, what are some of your guys' top 10 favorite comedy films? Maybe you guys have a couple that I haven't seen that I might be interested in if I can get a hold of it, maybe on Hulu Plus or on Netflix. So tell me your list in the comments down below, and if you like my list, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to keep track of me in my future top 10 list videos. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next time.